So I wanted to talk about this specifically, right? So apparently Japanese 7-Elevens are coming over to the western side. Because we all know what 7-Eleven is, right? You know, it's a gas station where you get food and snacks and all that other shit, right? But in Japan, it's a little bit more different or so, because in Japan or so, it's more the choices or so of certain foods and snacks and everything are a little bit more better compared to the western side of, you know, of the 7-Eleven itself, right? So I thought this was pretty cool that I wanted to share with you guys specifically, right? I wanted to share this video. With you guys and think I wanted to ask what you guys think about it, you know. But my question is just like, why, like, out of all the places, right? I would have expected it to come to like California or something like that. I did not expect it to come to New York City. Isn't like New York City having like some problems or so of like people stealing stuff and whatnot? How is that even gonna work out? And didn't they also had like didn't they have like a portal or a tunnel or something from like New York City all the way to whatever other place, and then like there was some girl that showed up for tits or so and OnlyFans, and then like the other side showed like the Twin Towers or so towards the New York people and everything like that. It was just fucking chaotic, to be honest. So I'm like, why New York City out of all people, you know? So I'm kind of curious to see when it's coming. What are they gonna add? And if it, I don't even know. Is it even going to be plausible to do that here? It would be cool if they actually brought one. If they actually brought some, like, you know, 7-Eleven, but like inspired from like, you know, from Japan itself. Basically like bringing Japanese 7-Eleven over to the western side. It would be pretty cool.
This is 7-Eleven. The company is known for Slurpees and hot dogs.
What's the point? What's the point of them coming to New York? The 100 getting robbed and getting closed down. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just I'm curious about that. I'm starting to believe New York City is just an experiment ground. Do you think so? Ain't all the states in trouble right now? Yeah, but like New York City is the one that's the biggest one, or so that they like to rob and stuff, whatnot, you know?
It's just not as appealing. My perception is people go in there when they need to. But now, it's working to bring more Japanese inspiration to its American stores.
Japanese inspiration, huh? You know, one thing's for sure, convenience stores have a massive problem right now, especially those in New York, which is why many of them are shutting down. And it's that they just aren't making enough money. But on the other side of the world, at 7-Eleven in Japan, things are totally different. And that's why our 7-Eleven...
Well, yeah, because if you look at a Japanese 7-Eleven store, the stuff that they give or so is far way better than what in a western side of 7-Eleven gives, you know?
7-Elevens are about to become more Japanese.
You're not going to believe the choice of food in a convenience store.
Rice balls.
Look at that. Michelin type of ramen.
This is 7-Eleven in Japan.
7-Eleven is now owned by a Japanese company, 7&I Holdings.
How the brand's grown for nearly 100 years. Starts
Interesting.
with what's the customer want? Where do we think they're going? And how do we meet them where they're going?
From the beginning, the Japanese owners said American 7-Eleven had a lot of catching up to do.
The Japanese model was a lot more data-driven. They would pore over what sold well at what time of day, break it down by gender and age.
American 7-Eleven also has a big food and beverage business, but next year, it hopes to make 1/3 of its sales from store-brand goods, including food.
Shoppers see it as a
Interesting
destination where they're not standing in line to pick up your milk, your eggs, your bread, your cheese, your quick fill-ins.
A big question is whether American customers will match the enthusiasm 7-Eleven sees in some of its other markets.
7-Elevens are now becoming Japanese. Oh, that'd be very interesting to see how this experiment works out, to be honest. Yeah, Japan side of the branch of any company have higher quality stuff. Lucky them. I know. Tell me about it. They get like cool shit, you know? We get jack shit over here. On the
The
Western
American
side, we get
7-Elevens
nothing.
we're all used to are now becoming Japanese. But even though I've been to Japan multiple times and have existed off the shockingly healthy offerings at their 7-Elevens, what nobody's talking about is that if you change around the stuff you sell in a store like this, you might not have any customers left in the country it's in. And that could be a huge risk for convenience stores like 7-Eleven, especially in New York, where to most people walking by, the image of the store's orange, red, and green logo reminds you of 2 for $5 Monster energy drinks, hot dogs spinning on rollers, and flavors of candy and chips that were invented
katanas.
yesterday. And if you're a fan of those big gulps, don't worry, they're not going away at all. They still sell like hotcakes, but the other items our twisted minds used to buy in here aren't bringing us into the stores as often as they used to. Which brings us to the real reason 7-Eleven plans on a massive shift concerning what they sell and who they're trying to sell it to. Because sadly, the
I feel like a lot of, you know how like a lot of the younger generations, right? Like they want like that some of the Japanese stuff, you know, some of the Japanese stuff that they have specifically. Like a lot of it specifically is also like the 7-Eleven, like that's one of them, like the convenience store stuff, you know. I can definitely see the younger generation liking this and going to 7-Eleven to buy a lot of these things, you know. So
the money just isn't rolling into convenience stores like it once was, which is why so many local stores are faced with challenges, shutting down, or why a lot of bodegas now sell things.
all 7-Eleven are samurais now. No point in employees being armed in New York. The employee harming the robber would get in more trouble than the dude robbing. Really? Are you serious? What the
that
fuck?
are illegal
That's
and will get you
stupid.
thrown in jail if you buy it. But that's not an option for 7-Eleven. Because obviously selling something illegal is not going to work for a worldwide chain like this, which is why they better do something fast, and what they're going to do is become more Japanese.
They do. They definitely do have different ethics, you know? But the problem is like between like Japan, right? Between Japan and you know the US itself, right? The US is super diverse. Japan is not really diverse because it's all, it's majority of it is Japanese people. So I get, the way how they were grown or so, the way how things are done over there is completely different over here, while everyone has different ethnicity, different backgrounds, the way how they raised, and all this other stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if I would choose New York City though, to be the first one. If that's going to be the first one, I don't know if I would choose New York City. I don't know.
So what you just saw there, that's footage from inside a Japanese 7-Eleven, and you're probably wondering why those stores look totally different than the US stores. Well, the simple answer to that is because for the longest time, convenience stores in America could get by on two classes of items, only one of which is sold in the New York City stores, and times are changing, which is why the stores themselves now have to change along with them.
Convenience stores have
I want to say Japan losing World War II made them more humble from their imperial days. If I'm right, some say World War II is the reason why Japan is now today.
historically
Who
made
knows?
their money selling tobacco and gas. But now, as cigarette sales continue to decline, and many expect gas sales to slow, many are racing to find other sources of revenue and doubling down on food.
So, obviously, gas sales at this 7-Eleven in New York, zero, because everyone's walking. And that means that the two moneymakers, or the one moneymaker in the case of our New York 7-Elevens, which would be tobacco products everyone knows are bad for you, just isn't making as much money this year as it was last year, which is obviously a huge problem because if these stores aren't
Yeah, the tobacco thing is going down significantly, so.
making enough money, they're going to shut down. Plus, convenience stores already face a tough market here in New York. They've got insanely high rents because of where they're located, super high utility costs, and there's high taxes, which all means they've got to sell a ton of prime to stay in business. But if items like that, dollar coffees, big gulps, discount Monster energy drinks, if that's what people are buying, it might not be possible. But apparently this is a problem that's existed ever since 7-Eleven started off as an American company, went bankrupt, and then ended up being
Hey,
bought
Taco.
by a Japanese company.
From the beginning, the Japanese owner said American 7-Eleven had a lot of catching up to do.
The Japanese model was a lot
more data driven. The American system just wasn't as sophisticated as that.
The US stores were typically larger and attached to gas stations. The Japanese stores didn't sell gas, but had a much wider array of fresh food.
So I can confirm the stores in Japan, a lot of them don't have gas stations, just like here in New York, which means they don't try to make money off people coming in to fill up their car. Because believe it or not, over there, people will go to 7-Eleven just because it's a 7-Eleven. Have you ever been inside one? Look at all these salads. It's like actually healthy and good for you. Every kind of instant noodle.
Damn, dude, I would so definitely get me a salad from over there, to be honest.
TV dinners, and a cinnamon roll. The bottled coffees are pretty affordable. That's like $1.50 right there, and they taste pretty
Damn.
good. And the Monster energy drinks are smaller than the Red Bulls. That's only gonna happen here. And
Really? Wow, they're a lot smaller, and that's interesting.
I think this is a no-calorie, low-calorie sport drink. Yeah, you're not gonna find any of that in here yet. In fact, if you look at the 7-Eleven advertisements here, you'll see that people are mainly just coming in for the snacks, which are perfectly in line with tobacco products and other things that aren't good for you.
I
normally
see.
Are bought at U.S. convenience stores. But as customer tastes are changing,
I don't know if they're
many
open
of these
24 hours. I
bodegas,
don't know.
7-Elevens,
I
they're
haven't been
finding
to a
it tough
7-Eleven
make
in a
enough
long
money
time,
to
to
stay
be
open.
honest.
But the problem for the local bodegas is they can't change around their business model like 7-Eleven's gonna try to do. Which is why a lot of these places are now turning into pseudo drug dealing operations. And what 7-Eleven's competitors are trying to do is find another product that's addictive, that people want to buy all the time. They think to themselves, oh, I want this, and then go buy it. But the problem is that's getting a lot of these places closed down because it's wrong. But it just goes to show you that the convenience store business in this country, it has always been about selling you things that are not particularly in your best interest to consume. But instead of these stores going the illegal route like their local competitors are doing, which isn't working out too well, they're gonna do things the Japanese way. But is this gonna work?
One of the most interesting.
Dude, that'd be very interesting to see if it actually does work, actually.
Lessons that we've learned from 7-Eleven Japan is their approach to operations.
This is especially important when it comes to food. 7-Eleven Japan is known for its wide array of meal options. American 7-Eleven also has a big food and beverage business, but next year, it hopes to make 1/3 of its sales from store brand goods, including food, up from less than 1/4 in
Food. The last frontier of addiction. It's so addictive, we'll all die if we don't get enough of it. Now already
Most things are smaller. I went to a KFC in Japan and had to go to a restaurant just to get full. The chicken was so small. Yeah, I heard about that because they have more smaller meal portions. You know, it's funny enough because I've changed my meal portion size as well to be smaller. So
already a lot of food is being sold at 7-Eleven, but the company realizes that a one-size-fits-all menu approach isn't going to work for the entire country. Different stores in different neighborhoods, they're going to need a different product mix to be most effective and to make the most money, and now the chain or the brand wants to help each of their little stores do that. And these new plans should also help them up the quality of their food offerings, and that was the one thing that shocked me about 7-Eleven in Japan, was just how good the food was, because to be honest, I found myself choosing that over places like McDonald's when I needed something quick to eat on a regular basis. Not only did I know that I would save time because the food's all ready to go, but the menu options were actually healthier. Plus the beverage selection is way better. And unfortunately, just like their US stores, there was even enough Japanese junk food in there for that mandatory sugar high. But the weird thing about this is I don't know if people are gonna want to eat the same stuff that I was eating in Japan here in America on a regular basis. I think that if people went into a 7-Eleven and they saw a whole new menu with a whole bunch of maybe rice-based products or things that they just weren't used to, they would
dude, that
walk
looks
in
so
and
tasty. I'm not
walk
gonna
out,
lie,
which makes it look like
man.
becoming Japanese might be a bad idea.
I think it might be McDonald's. I think if I remember correctly. They've always had healthier options in 7-Eleven in Japan.
So
It's just a
came
convenience
out of
store.
the store right here. It looks like it's getting hit really hard by theft because they got little locks on pretty much everything, even the donuts. That's pretty crazy. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was just like, why would you want to do 7-Eleven in New York or so? Like a Japanese 7-Eleven in New York, because they're gonna have this stuff or so, because like people like robbing stuff, you know.
But what it looks like 7-Eleven is going to try to do to change things up is they're going to have the brand function in the United States exactly like it does in Japan, from the way that the food is prepared, to how they figure out what people want at the various stores, and to how they also micromanage what the menu offerings are at those stores.
7-Eleven currently has
Interesting.
17 so-called commissaries around the country that make food for all of its U.S. locations. Now, it's partnering with Orabea, a supplier for 7-Eleven Japan. Orabea's new factories in Hawaii, Texas, and Virginia can make a wider and more localized range of food than 7-Eleven has been able to stock in the past.
And what this probably does...
Huh, that's interesting, actually. Huh. Are they gonna do like Japanese inspired? Or are they gonna do like Japanese kind? Or they're gonna do like their own version of it here? You know? It would be cool if they have like the Japanese stuff, you know.
Doesn't mean is that we're all going to be eating rice. It probably doesn't mean that. I like rice, but if you don't, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Now, of course, we're probably going to see some rice products, some noodle products, but it's probably not going to replace every single thing on the shelves because this transition is going to take time. But even though it's a shame that maybe the best snacks in Japan won't be coming to a 7-Eleven near us anytime soon, there's actually a lot of potential here for the company because they've got such low prices that if they can make things better, healthier, or just with more variety and higher quality options in general, it's going to save us all a ton of money. When you consider that your nearest fast food option like a McDonald's is always going to be way more expensive, especially with Big Macs getting up near the $20 range for a meal. And the reason this is such a big opportunity is because New York is America's most expensive city. The rents are insane, the grocery prices are insane, and anything that a store like
Tide Pods.
7-Eleven could do if they can get it right, it's really going to give them an advantage over pretty much any other option to eat. And even grocery stores, you go to Whole Foods, the milk is like approaching $8 right now.
If they do this, if they actually like make, you know, they bring Japanese 7-Elevens over to the Western side and everything like that, right? I will go to one of them that sells this stuff and I will buy these things and we will try them out on stream. You know, we'll try them out on stream and see how they are, and we'll probably make a tier list or something of what are the good items and what are the bad items. So
Now. But when you consider that a lot of people who work in the city don't bring a lunch and end up eating at least 1 or 2 meals outside of the home every single day, that really adds up, and a low-cost option is probably going to have a big impact on people's wallets. But even though these sound like exciting changes, they're going to take a while, and in the meantime, the brand risks alienating its core customer who walks by and thinks Monster energy drinks and candy bars like I do. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but if the chain does one thing now very well, and that's what they're known for, and then they change, there might be a period of time where people adjust and they continue to lose money after spending money.
It's adding a lot of items to its menu. The main question is how many customers will buy them. And this is where data comes into the question. And it plans to use its massive data operation to do it. They collect demographic information.
So it seems like the chain thinks it can both become more Japanese and not lose any money because they're going to use a fancy computer system to read our minds and predict what we want to spend money on. And they're going to take all that data from our buying habits and target us with ads throughout the day in their stores with computer monitors. Which at the end of the day is something everybody in the fast food business is already doing. Like if you go to a McDonald's, they got screens everywhere, they got their app. You are being blasted with targeted advertisements and promotions so that they can see
before that code the rematch of Starbucks iced tea.
what you do.
I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink Starbucks shit, to be honest.
To stay ahead of the customer. It's revolutionary by any means in modern America.
If you want me to do that, fund the iced tea, okay? All right.
But when you apply it at the local level to convenience stores, it could really help them put the right things in the store to make sure that they get sales. Because people just aren't as freewheeling with their money now as they used to be. Things are tougher in this country, and especially in this expensive place to live. But this is going to be a tough fight because all this restructuring is going to cost a massive amount of money. And the customer at 7-Eleven now, especially here, they aren't going there for prepared local food options that aren't pizza, that aren't hot dogs. And the real concern here is that the core customer sees this restructuring and starts walking out of the store without buying the stuff that they were buying on a regular basis. Their coffees, their donuts, whatever else it is that they happen to buy. If they stop seeing that stuff on the menu or on the shelf, they're not going to go in anymore. But the other problem the brand might have has to do with the size of the stores they're renting out. Look at how small these places are. Everything in this city is a dinky little storefront. There's just not a lot of space to rearrange all of the shelves and bring in a whole new slew of items. But even though it remains to be seen exactly how they're going to go about trying to save their stores, what products we're now going to see, Hopefully they're better, we don't know yet. They're telling us they are. 7-Eleven has one other advantage over pretty much every other convenience store in the entire city, in the entire country, and that, they think, is also gonna save them from having to do what maybe these smoke shop type places have to do.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Cause I know, cause I know in New York City, the stores, the you know, the to own a shop or so there, it's like super, super, super small or so, compared to like over here. The shops are a lot more bigger over here. So I can definitely see them coming over here. But even then, right? I feel like the new younger generation, you're probably gonna hit them very well with the whole Japanese 7-Eleven stuff, you know. Because like a lot of the younger generation, you know, who want to go to Japan and want to experience a lot of the stuff there, right? But they don't have the money, you know, it's too expensive and everything like that. I think bringing a little piece of, you know, a little piece of Japan into, you know, the 7-Eleven stuff would be a lot more interesting. It will hit the younger generation very well. I think it'll do very well with the younger generation. I can tell that the older generation wouldn't like it personally, but I definitely the younger ones are gonna like it a lot more. So fund the iced tea bet. You also have to rematch the croissant. I really don't want to do that croissant, but fuck, man, if you fund it, fuck it, I'll do it. Shit, I don't want to do it though.
And for potential customers who aren't at the store, there's delivery, the fastest growing part of the company's business. It's highly profitable for the company since delivery orders tend to be for about double the amount of in-store purchases.
How the brands
Yeah, lots of demand for delivery bikes. Those are delivery bikes right there. These are delivery bikes. They're all over the place.
Wait, wait, they do delivery stuff? I did not know 7-Eleven did delivery stuff.
Popular, but it's also expensive. Unless, of course, the company that you're buying the food from is the company that does the delivery. And 7-Eleven has their own delivery. And now I've always figured that if you were getting delivery from 7-Eleven, you probably shouldn't go. But
I'm surprised 7-Eleven did not go to the UK. They love the healthy options.
with their new menu options, that might change in the near future. But the one problem delivery companies are having in New York right now is a new minimum wage law was just passed for delivery workers. And of course, those companies have just passed those costs right along to consumers who are now paying higher prices. But 7-Eleven can compete around that because they make their money off the product, not just the delivery service, which means they can keep their delivery fees relatively low compared to competitors. And 7-Eleven's deliveries, they don't apply to everything in the store, just certain items. There's quite a few of them. But part of the way they make money is selling you things that have the highest profit margins possible, and it's likely that those are the items you're able to get. On top of that, the brand has also mentioned that part of their restructuring is going to be the introduction of more products and things that they make themselves. Take, for example, the 7-Eleven Gatorade competitors. It's bigger than a Gatorade, it's cheaper than a Gatorade, it's got all the same ingredients, but since it's 7-Eleven brand, Gatorade doesn't take a cut of that profit. It all goes to 7-Eleven. The food offerings like that, this is another opportunity.
Interesting, because I haven't been to a 7-Eleven in such a long time. I didn't even know they started making their own Gatorade, you know, kind of drink or so. Huh, interesting.
For them to make a ton of money. But it's also not a new concept either. Amazon does this. If you've bought an Amazon Basics foam roller for your back or Amazon Basics charger for your iPhone, you know what I'm talking about. Costco's probably the biggest culprit. They do the exact same thing with their Kirkland branded items, which kind of makes it clear that a struggling local bodega can't do any of what 7-Eleven's doing because they don't make their own stuff. Everything they get comes from a distributor. Everything they get, a cut of that profit has to go to somebody else, not them. Now, when I first heard this story about 7-Eleven's becoming more Japanese, that just blew my mind because I've been to the Japanese 7-Elevens and I know that the products there are completely different. And at first I thought that that's what we were going to be seeing on our shelves here in America. But now that I've researched this, what it really looks like they're going to do is just transition how they go about making things, who they go about making things for, and how they know what to go and put in each store. If they start doing that the same way that they do in Japan, we'll start to see a lot of different stuff. You know, for example, if you go somewhere in the Midwest, that 7-Eleven might be stocked differently than one that's, say, in Koreatown, in New York City, where the customer demand is a lot different. But the real question is,
interesting. So, okay, so you're saying like in different sections or sectors in general, they'll have different stocks or so of different things in 7-Eleven? Okay. So if I go to one of my local 7-Elevens in the little what is it, little China or so that I have here in this specific area, is it gonna be filled with a lot of like Asian food or stuff like that? You know, like noodles and like whatever other stuff that comes from there. I ate, like, Little Japantown. Is it gonna have like the 7-Eleven that's based off Japan or something like that? Hmm.
Would people be willing to go to a 7-Eleven who aren't going already? For example, when I was in Japan, I went to a 7-Eleven and somebody had to tell me, my wife, that, hey, this is actually pretty good food. It's a lot different than what you're used to in America. I didn't know that. And if you don't know that, are you really gonna go there instead of a whole...
True, by changing the chances are that the current customers might leave are pretty high. I would go to Chinatown 7-Eleven. Maybe each branch must have different stock requirements. That would be pretty interesting to see that. I think it would be very interesting to see like different parts of sectors of 7-Eleven in different areas or so having different things stocked or something, based on the like the computer inputs and stuff like that. That would be very interesting to see to actually see that.
Whole Foods for some local, cheap prepared option that comes in a container somewhere? How much market education do they have to do? That's the biggest challenge in a business. You never, ever want to have to make something and then teach people why they need it. They have to already know that they need it, and you've got to go make it. Is that what's happening here? Is 7-Eleven going to succeed? Do you want to eat Japanese 7-Eleven food? Let me know. I'll see you in the next video.
I would 100% try out Japanese food in 7-Eleven. I would actually go to 7-Eleven. I would actually buy some stuff, and then we'll do a tier list here in on Streamer Zone to see what's actually pretty good and what's pretty bad. So, like, one branch has more various of ice cream because it's not it's hot, while another has more mineral water and salad because it's where the vegans live. Still, why New York of all places? They're getting closed down. Yeah, that's the one thing that's so weird about it. Why New York City? Why can't you just do it in like... I assume they're gonna do it for all the rest, but like if this is where you're gonna start it off, I don't know if I would start it in New York City. I think I'd rather start, like, as much as like I don't like California as much. I think California would have been the better option to do personally, but that's just me though. But we'll see. We'll see what happens though. Apparently the shift or so it will be happening or so slowly throughout the next year. So I'll definitely keep my eye out on it specifically to see, what changes and everything like that. Cause I know like a handful of 7-Eleven stores over here. And that's pretty much about it. So a regular section and a Japanese section. That would be very interesting to see that actually. I don't know. We're gonna see. The problem is New York City just has some big stealing problems. There's a lot of problems up there. So shoplifters, thieves, a lot of shit is happening over there specifically. But yeah, I'll be very interested to see what further development happens with this. If they actually do it, that'd be pretty cool. Actually, I'm kind of curious what the comment sections have to say about it. Honestly, a tad worried that 7-Eleven has no idea what they're in for. But they won't have the polite staffs, that's for sure. I love Japanese vending machines and shops, but the one big difference between America and Japan is respect. We have zero. Yeah, that's pretty much true. They don't have migrants and shoplifter problems in Japan. I lived in Japan for 10 years, and the 7-Eleven there are clean, friendly, safe, quick, and of course, convenient. None of those things are possible in New York City. Therefore, they are not going to be Japanese 7-Eleven, just a 7-Eleven, which happens to sell Japanese stuff in the hellhole of New York City. New York City is the wrong market target. Honestly, if they tried this near a military base, it's gonna work fine. They will be closed in a week. They won't have anything to sell after a week in New York City. Let them go under. You walk into America 7-Eleven and wonder if the store clerk put a card reader over the credit card machine to skim your card. They better bring some Japanese samurais to deal with the shoplifters epidemic in New York City. See, so a lot of people are saying like, why even bother in New York? It's not just the food that's different in Japanese 7-Eleven, so it's the culture. And the next episode is Cash Jordan. Japanese 7-Eleven is leaving New York City. if you want to make them Japanese, you have to actually have respect for the laws and prosecute criminals. They won't last a week in New York City crimes. Yeah, it's just like, why New York City? Just why? Out of overall, like, I'm so confused, you know? That's why I don't understand. I'll be very curious to see what happens over the development or so specifically about this. So, you know, I'll be very curious. It's just like, why? Just why New York City? I don't know, dude. But yeah, anyways, that was pretty interesting to take a look at, to be honest. Oh, I just wanted to quickly see that specific video or so about it. So, yeah.